Hi guys! I thought I would share some relevant info with you today and a word. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And that is, we all want to walk in wisdom, we all want to walk wise. And again, the fear of the Lord God of Israel is the beginning of wisdom. Just giving you a heads up on some things I learned regarding nuclear weapons. We know that Russia has the Poseidon, and the Poseidon is in the waters. Um, it is whether known or unknown. It was deployed. It's in our waters, and so it's just a matter of if it gets launched. And so we're praying and hoping that that does not happen, because nuclear weapons would affect us all. However, let me give you a heads up on some information that I learned. Just a little bit on nuclear weapons. Differences in explosive power account for different radiological effects. The fireball of a 20 kiloton weapon has a diameter of 1.5 miles. The fireball of a 10 megaton thermonuclear weapon has a diameter of 6 miles. Unless exploded at very high altitudes above 10,000 feet, it will therefore come in contact with the ground below. As it does so, the blast of the explosion dislodges millions of tons of the surface. The rising fireball sucks up this debris and converts it into radioactive material, which is then swept up into the stratosphere and deposited downwind. As a result, there takes place over a period of days a continual fallout of radioactive material over a lithophysically shaped area. The nature and distribution of the fallout depends on the meteorological conditions and on the constitution of the surface above which the bomb explodes. The material will fall out according to the weight of the debris. The heavier materials falling out first, the lighter drifting further downward. The very light material remaining in the stratosphere for some time, thereby affecting the background radiation of the universe. If the target is a city where brick is a common building material, fallout is aggravated because the silicon in the brick and the lime in the mortar will themselves become highly radioactive. The eclipse of the fallout will vary with meteorological conditions. The United States test in 1954 dangerously contaminated an area of 7,000 square miles of an area, the size of the state of New Jersey. Dr. Libb, a member of the Atomic Energy Commission at that time, described a possible contamination of 100,000 square miles, or an area of the size of the state of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania combined. The effect of a fallout is dependent on the amount of radiation to which an area is subjected to in general. The damage caused by radiation is twofold: direct damage leading to illness, death, or reduced life expectancy, and genetic effects. The direct damage is caused generally by gamma rays, which penetrate the skin and affects the molecules of the cell structure. Alpha and beta rays cause burns and lesions. They cannot do internal damage unless they enter the system by means of contaminated food or water supplies. Because gamma rays damage the constituents of the blood, they will produce a greater susceptibility to infect. There is a strong evidence that radiation may induce leukemia, cataract, months after exposure. The following table gives some indication of the effects of exposure to radiation. The estimates are conservative and disregard genetic effects entirely. The measurements are in rotogens, which are an arbitrary standard of measurements for radiation. And so I have here a chart that will give you exactly how the radiation works. As a matter of fact, the nuclear tornadoes, as submarines were told, is in our waters right now or in the Arctic. We know that if those are launched, any coastal area, it can take out that complete city. And there is enough nuclear power on both sides that could actually take us all out, completely remove our civilization and put us way, 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 way centuries back. We'd be back to the horse and buggies. And so we really don't want that to happen. And so one of the things that we're required to prepare with is to be spiritually ready. Because when we're spiritually ready, you know, to live is Christ, but to die is gain. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. So believers, whatever happens, we're going to be okay. But we still need to prepare and have the knowledge and wisdom of how best to go through all the situations that are now facing us. We're looking at World War III, and we are in end times. End times is not coming. We are in end times. And so I'm just also going to read a small part of Revelation 13 for you. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads, 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as if it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wandered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast, and who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given to him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, those are the believers, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life, of the Lamb slain from the foundations of the world. And if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell in the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound, and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast would both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. And that brings us back to the first thing that we mentioned at the beginning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And so with wisdom, we will know whether or not those of us that remain on the earth, after all of Jacob's trouble, after all the tribulations that we're likely to go through, if we take the mark. And there are many people today, if they were offered a mark and they were told you can't buy or sell unless you take the mark, think of how difficult that would be for most people. How do you pay your mortgage? How do you pay your kids' school fees? How do you buy groceries if you don't take the mark? And Mary Jane and Patsy Sue and the family members that actually take the mark, they're not going to keep silent while you not take the mark and enjoy what they are acquiring or they have acquired. And so it's going to be a time of testing, I would think, for believers, because it's almost impossible. We're going to have to trust God that without taking the mark, that He will make a way, like He did for Elijah when He sent him to the widow of Zarephath. And she had enough meal and corn, and she shared it with him. The brook that Elijah went to, and water came out of it, so He provided again. And God's provision is in all the birds in the air. They're beautifully clothed. Have you ever looked at the birds? They're beautiful. It is God who provides for them and clothes them. And if He provides for the birds and He clothes them so beautifully, let alone His children. So the children who have enough faith and enough wisdom not to take the mark, they will be taken care of. And those, like I said, that are remaining, some are likely to be caught up, taken out in the rapture. If God decides to do it, some people are pre-trib, some people are post-trib, some people are mid-trib. But wherever and whenever some people again do not want to call it the rapture. We could call it the ascension. We can call it being caught up. So those that are caught up to meet Messiah in the air, because Messiah is now coming down then. They're going to be caught up to meet Messiah in the air and to be with Him and to be away from all the trouble, Jacob's trouble in the earth. So let us all be wise and to remember these words, that the fear of the Lord God is the beginning of wisdom. And faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word. He gives us all a measure of faith, but the more we stay in the word, the more faith we receive to understand and to do all that we have to do. Okay, I'll be back again on Wednesday to give you further update on what nuclear weapons are like and to the extent that they can affect us, how. And then we're going to get into some solutions, what we do. Right now, governments throughout the whole earth is training their medical personnel or staff how to treat radiation. Some governments have bought radiation medicines like iodine pills. I don't know to what extent the iodine pills will help. I'll have to do some further research on that. I do have iodine pills and I've always kept that. But there are other things we can do. So we're going to find the solutions. And we're going to look more into what nuclear, a nuclear war could do to every individual. It will affect us all. So we need to look and see how that is likely to affect us and our families. Okay, guys, I'll be back again with another video with further update on nuclear, the solutions, and to remind us all that we must be prepared spiritually. We can have all the food in the world and something happens and we have to leave the place where we stored all that food. And so that is not the end all and be all. We have to be spiritually prepared because God will guide us and lead us. Okay, so I'll talk to you later. Bye.